Hi, my name's Jen. Okay. I met Mike when I was 18, and we met through friends, and we started dating. And then in June 2008, I discovered I was pregnant. So we started learning about pregnancy and what to expect, and what you should do to prepare. And then I found the Rose of Durham through a friend who was actually coming here. Mm-hmm. And before I met Mike, I was having trouble in school because I have like a heart issue and stomach issues. So I just happened to not get my last set of credits because I automatically failed the exams because I was sick and couldn't go.
Right.
So it was an automatic fail because they were worth so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I came here because I wanted to finish school and that you could actually do it here on your own time. And that appealed to me.
Yeah, that appealed to you is what
that
you needed at the time.
Yeah. So I wanted somewhere comfortable where I wouldn't feel that, and I actually was living in Toronto, so I decided to stay here since Mike was in Bowmanville.
Oh, okay.
And it would have been too hard to be in Toronto by myself while pregnant and not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And so I started coming to the Rose and finished school through here, through DAS or DAS, through the Rose.
Nice.
And then after that, I went through prenatal. I took the prenatal classes and did the hospital tour and everything. And we found out some of the stuff that the Rose had to offer after your child was born. And so I was really excited to actually have my child, and it was a boy. And his name is Gabriel. And after he was born, to be honest, I wasn't sure what to collect yet. So the most exciting thing to me was the layette.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that would be my first gift, but I actually got things from other people. But I was really excited that he was born and that I would get like this little handmade blanket by whoever donated them, and then all that stuff. It made me feel like good because other people were it's kind of taboo, I guess, to be pregnant at such a young age in Oshawa. So I was excited that someone was excited for me.
Yeah.
And after that, I got to join the Mommy and Me classes, and I think there was baby yoga, and there was something else. Well, the family days on one Saturday a month, and then as he grew, he could actually take part in the craft and everything. So that was really fun. And then the summer trips were good too. And I joined some of the other classes at that time. I believe it was just crockpot class, and I think that was it at that time. With Gabe, it was I found it beneficial to actually be at the Rose because at that time, I was still finishing school. I think I finished when he was 2 because I decided to take it slower and actually just enjoy being a mom. And so when I was here, I got to learn. We actually did a few smaller programs. I'm not sure what they are at the time or now, but you got to learn. It was a baby food thing. We made make your own baby food and stuff like that. So you got to learn what to feed them at what age. And even though you already learned that or you can see it in books, it was good to be in a class where a bunch of other people were doing it too, so you don't feel like you're the only one and you might be messing up at home or anything. And because I was so young, we did have a job, and I was staying with my mom until I found a place because I moved from Toronto. It was hard to collect things because having a first baby is expensive. And it was just the two of us, and I think Mike was 23 when I turned 19, he turned 24. So the two of us just becoming parents is difficult. Not difficult, but it's difficult to adjust to. So being at the Rose was helpful because they had the donation room, and so there'd be so many clothes, and a lot of them were new. I was surprised. So I'd get new clothes and baby food and formula, and everything was here, which was helpful because then you could save your money and actually spend it on the furniture that you need, or I was able to save my money to actually get an apartment. So until Gabe was about 2.5, I actually didn't buy him anything. That sounds terrible, but I didn't need to. From things from family, gifts, clothing, baby showers, they got all the diapers for months at a time. They bought all the clothes, and then whatever I didn't have came in weekly here. So I got to save a lot of money in the first 2 years he was born, and I literally did not have to buy much. And then even at Christmas, I had money saved up, so I was able to do something. And a lot of people, for the first or second Christmas, it's difficult because Christmases can be overwhelming when you have a child and everything's $1 million. So it was good, and it was good to have that support. And the counseling, of course, is good too, because when I was frustrated or not thinking I was doing things right, I was able to talk to my counselor. And I think at that time it was Patrina, and she was filling in for somebody on mat leave, I think. And she was so nice. I loved her. And she always has really nice hair. And she was really nice, and she made me feel better when I thought maybe that I wasn't grasping or getting the hand of breastfeeding. And it just turned out my son did not want anything to do with it. So she made me feel like I wasn't failing as a mom, you know? And she also spent a lot of time talking to me to make sure I wasn't feeling what a lot of young moms do, which is like ashamed or anything, because especially where we live, it looks bad. Like everybody just assumes that there's a lot of young moms and that it wasn't by choice or anything. But I actually wanted my kids. He was planned. It just came a little early. So she wanted to make sure I wasn't feeling the backlash of a stereotype, I guess. And then, okay, you don't need his pregnancy. He was hard too, but it was okay. So when Gabe was just over a year old, I got really sick and I didn't know what was wrong. And I remember I spent 3 days on the floor in like agonizing pain with blankets over me completely. And turns out I had a miscarriage, and it was really, really hard to deal with. And so I thought I had to go to the washroom, and I went to Subway, and it was just there. So I went home and I was crying, and I went to my doctor and everything. And that was back when Dollarama used to have little silk boxes with a glass angel in it. Mm-hmm. So we took the angel out and wrapped it up and put it in it. So we made a name and everything and the date and put it in there. And then Mike actually buried it with his dad in his dad's grave. It's nice. Look. After I had my miscarriage, I kind of just stayed at home, there you go, for like 3 weeks and was really upset about it. And it's funny to discover you're so upset about something you weren't aware of. I didn't even know I was pregnant. But the fact that I knew it was a baby after really upset me, because maybe I did something wrong. I didn't know I was pregnant, so I would have been taking prenatal vitamins or, stuff like that. So if I had known that I was pregnant, I would have tried more things. Like, I don't think I was necessarily doing anything wrong, but at that time, for all I know, I could have been dieting or something and not getting enough nutrients, right? So I felt really guilty, and I guess you can't really feel guilty for something you weren't aware of, but I was. So we let another year pass and decided we wanted to have another baby, and I was hoping it was a girl, because Mike really wanted a girl the first time, but I think it's nice to have the boy to look after. So we got pregnant in, I think, October, maybe September, October 2010. Mm-hmm. And I had my daughter in June. And she was due on Father's Day, but she came late. But no, she was born on the 24th, so I was actually here during my labor. I came here and I sat through a mommy and me class, and I had some friends because I made friends here, and I sat here squeezing their hands and they're like, just push through it, like I was here during my labor and I'm like, no, I'm making this craft, I need to finish it. And I was here like squeezing and everything, and I'm just like, nope, I'm gonna stay, because I knew for a second pregnancy, as soon as you hit like contractions every 7 minutes, you should go because your baby comes sooner. Well, I called my midwives and they said, no, you're fine. It's probably just Braxton Hicks. It wasn't. So I went to 10 centimeters like a trooper with no medication, but at that point they wouldn't give me epidural when I knew something was wrong. And Izzy was actually quite stuck, and they said she actually should have died, but I remember a very unpleasant experience. I'll just skip all the horrifics. That was just hard. I couldn't hold her. It was important to me that I got to hold her, because I actually didn't get to hold Gabe because he was really sick when he was born too, and I didn't get to touch him for 4 days. I didn't get to hold him. I didn't get to do anything. They took him and brought him away. So it was important that I got to hold her, even if she wasn't going to make it. Like, I was adamant. So they put her on me, and then I realized she was screaming, and they had to tell me that they broke her arm, but she's alive, so it's better than nothing, and that's fantastic. So I was happy that I got to hold her, but she stayed in the hospital for a few days, and they wanted to take her to Sick Kids, I think it was, or another hospital in Toronto for a cast, because they don't do casts that tiny in Oshawa. And they wouldn't let me take her home. I said, she's not going to bond with me if she's not with me. And it's already going to be hard enough. So I took her home. And then we got her cast a few weeks later, and she had it for about 3 months. The Rose was super supportive, actually, for that, though, because I found she was born in the summer. She was born in June. So that was the summer that it was like 40 degrees every day. It was so hot. So you really couldn't cover her up. And she didn't even fit in her baby outfit for when I took her home. She was too big. So she came out really big. So she was actually in 3 months clothing. So you could see her cast, and people would stare at me all the time and like whisper, and I could hear them on the bus, and they would be like, how could you hurt that poor little baby? It made me feel so bad. And so I would come here and talk to Janelle, and she was like reminding me, that she's alive and she's healthy, and I know I didn't do anything wrong. Make me feel bad. Just don't yell at them, she says, but if you have to speak up for yourself, don't make yourself feel bad all day, because she said, I know that I didn't do anything wrong. She told me to make sure that I know that I didn't do anything wrong, and if I had to speak up for myself, people are just going to judge you based on what they see, and I know I didn't hurt her, and she's alive, and I should be happy about that. But it was helpful to be here, especially for breastfeeding. That was super hard. It was really hard to clean her, so she actually smelled really bad because you couldn't give her actual bath. And it was actually really hard for Mike to bond with her, or Gabe, because you have to be super protective. And Mike could hold her, but it was really rare. And Gabe didn't get to bond with her right away, which is important because he was only 2, and now he's just going to think I'm giving her all my time. So everything was super stressful. So when I came here, it gave him a chance to still play and be around people who, were excited to see him and let him feel special about having a sister. And Janelle was super helpful. And so was Lauren. And actually Janet was too. But after her, it was really hard. So I was really appreciative to have the Rose and like the Mommy and Me programs and everything. And Food for Thought was helpful too, actually, because at that time we were trying to move from one place to another, so it was helpful to be able to still get my vitamins because they covered it, I think, every month and stuff like that. So that was really good. And just like I said at the beginning, it was helpful to be able to save money knowing that you have your dairy and everything covered each week, and another place to go to get resources and information. And from that, I actually started going to the Ontario Earlier Centre as well. So the 2 centres, the Rose and Ontario Earliers, worked hand in hand and were super beneficial for me. And eventually everything got better, and her arm healed, and Gabe loved her and she loved him, and everybody was so happy, and we took this Rose of Durham by storm very loudly. And we'd come every week for Mommy and Me, and then the family days. We didn't get to come to too much of those because we also had to visit our family, but those were really fun. And then of course the summer trips and going to the zoo, I looked so forward to that because it wasn't something that I had as an expense because I was trying to save and being so young and still going to school. And then in that 2 years, I went to school because you need ECE to work with kids. And I think I might do a little bit of social work. But my goal is to work here. And currently, I'm a supply teacher. But my goal is to work here and eventually... The end. Thanks for watching.